So welcome everybody to Hippocrates. My name is Michael. I grow grass. Nothing? That's this. Nothing? I grow. It's funny though, people out in the world, of course, they say, what do you do for a living? And I tell them I grow grass. So the first thing they want to do is, how much? Can I buy some? It's an interesting field, yes. I've been in this for 18 years. I'm actually 73. You can't tell because of my shoes, but I'm 73. And in the years in this little part of the orientation that I do is called What's Simple is True. And everything that I'm going to talk about this morning, you're going to get in detail in all the lectures here at Hippocrates. Pretty much every lecture we do is going to give you the science behind everything I'm going to tell you right now. But I like to stick with what's simple is true because I get it. It's been 18 years for me. I don't need science to explain everything that goes on here. I get it. So I'm going to give you that background. I'm going to talk a little bit about wheatgrass, obviously, because that's the heart of Hippocrates. Anybody hear the name Anne Wigmore? Right? Anne Wigmore basically founded Hippocrates back about 50 years ago in Boston. And here's this woman going through her own health issues and decides to take her own matters in her hands, and she basically goes out and starts chewing on lawn grass. Anybody realize that this program was founded around lawn grass, not wheatgrass? Lawn grass. She actually, in one of her books, she talks about being in Central Park, chewing on that grass. Probably not the best grass to be chewing on these days. But she chews on it, and she chews on it, and she chews on it. For weeks, she goes through this. Now, she started chewing on grass because, A, she saw animals doing it. You've all probably seen cats and dogs chewing on grass. Right? What do they do after they chew on it? Right, they usually throw it up, exactly. In other words, your animals instinctively know when they're not feeling well, that's when they go chew on grass to begin with. They're sick to start out. But they can't tell you they're sick, so you open the door, they run outside and start chewing on grass. And they know whether it comes up, whether it stays down, it's going to help them. It's kind of their vet. And also, Anne Wigmore's grandmother made a statement to her when she was a kid, and I love this statement. Everybody take a big deep breath. Anne Wigmore's grandmother said to her that instinct-guided creatures left to themselves do not make mistakes. I will prove that statement to you after I say it one more time, because it took me a whole weekend to memorize it. Instinct-guided creatures left to themselves do not make mistakes. And now I'll prove it to you. How many people, show of hands, chewed on grass or weeds when you were a kid? Anybody do it when you were young? There you go. I just proved it to you. Because we did it when we were young, but we don't do it now, right? So what's the difference? What did we miss? We lost sight of our instinct, because when we're young, everything instinctually inside of us told us to go to the greens. We saw all the other mammals on the planet Earth eating greens. By the way, you realize you're a mammal, right? Human beings are mammals. You know that, right? We have hair, skin, eyes, teeth, internal functions. Oh, muscles, we have those too, right? And now, that's another, I wasn't going to say that out loud, but yes, sometimes it's PG-13 class. So, but we're mammals. And knowing that human beings are mammals, if you understand that 85% of all mammals on the planet Earth live on grasses and leafy greens. Did anybody know that? 85% of all mammals living today are living on grasses and leafy greens on the planet Earth. As a matter of fact, way back when, a lot of us lived on red meat and dairy, right? I mean, I grew up on red meat and dairy. Most of us did. Well, in the past, when you lived on red meat and dairy, indirectly, you lived on grass. Cow ate the grass, we ate the cow, the earth was in our food chain. It made sense. The greens were in our diet. But nowadays, that's not happening. Nowadays, your cows are being trough-fed a bunch of grains, which is making their systems too acidy. Now they're being shut up with antibiotics, steroids, hormones. So basically, your red meat and dairy doesn't contain the earth any longer. Because people start at, please don't yell out anything while we're doing this, I'm sorry. And no questions, hold all your questions at the very end. I'll make sure I'll talk to you and answer everything. But we have to understand that what's simple is true here. The earth used to be in our diet. This isn't a judgment about right, wrong, good, bad, about meat. I'm not into that anymore. I'll still hang out with you if you eat meat. That's not my thing. But what I will tell you, if you do decide, after being here at Hippocrates for the 2 or 3 weeks, whatever you're here for, and you leave here and you decide you want to go eat meat, make sure you're eating a cow that's been eating grass. Because the earth has to be somewhere in your food chain. Now, when I say earth, understand that I'm meaning earth, vibration, energy, life force. Okay, if you want to define nutrient the way science defines nutrient, go ahead. But pretty soon that won't be there any longer. So now what you're going to live on is earth, is that connection to earth. So the grasses are the closest to the earth, so they are the most nourishing. Highest energy, highest life force, vibration, that's what that means. If you notice, when the cow is being trough fed these days, they go take a nap after they eat from the trough. Anybody see cows laying down these days? Cows are laying down these days because when they eat as much as they can at the trough, they get tired, they get full. So they go lay down. You know, a lot of people think the difference between us, human beings as mammals, and them as mammals is their stomachs. No, that's not the difference. Do you know the difference between us and them? They chew their food. I'm serious. If you ever watch a cow or a horse out there, they're chewing and chewing and chewing. So what's that process? Juicing. Anybody remember back when Anne Wigmore founded Hippocrates, she based it around blending foods because she understood that human beings don't chew food. We don't spend enough time chewing food. We get bored, so we swallow it. Where your mammals are out there chewing and chewing. So she understood that by blending the food allowed our body to absorb it a lot easier. And it was a lot smoother as far as the process of elimination, getting rid of the food now. Because your mammals that are chewing and chewing and chewing on it, they're juicing it in their mouth, and then when they swallow it, their stomachs have the ability to absorb the nutrient from the fibers and then pass it through. But if you ever looked at cow manure is actually fibers of the grass they just ate. So they don't break down the fibers, they chew them though. That's how they break them down. That's the difference between us and them, chewing food. And if you don't believe me about human beings not chewing food, look in the toilet behind you when you get up. Look, we can make poop jokes here. It's okay. It's Hippocrates. Take a deep breath. Everybody take a deep breath. Breathe in. How many people are here this morning? Raise your hand if you're here. See who's paying attention? Great. Okay. Anybody not breathing in here? Raise your hand if you're not breathing. Just raise your hand. Someone will be right with you. It won't be me. Now, to continue on, what's simple is true. So first of all, we have to have the earth back in our food chain. Now, a cow is laying down because it's being trough fed and it's eating too much. So it lays down and takes a nap. Now, in my lifetime, you're not supposed to see cows taking naps and laying down. I don't ever remember that as a kid. But now I see it all the time. Because as it's being overfed, it gets tired. Now think about this. Think about addictive habits in the world today. We think of alcohol, tobacco, sugar, caffeine. Actually, those are easy addictive habits. Ultimately, our biggest addictive habit in the world today, food, eating, number one. We are programmed to eat 3 times a day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. By the way, we made those up. They never existed before. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner we have created. Because what's the biggest industry in the world? Food. Restaurants, grocery stores. You can get food at gas stations these days. Fast food, right? Food is the biggest industry in the world. What's the second biggest industry? Drugs, pharmaceutical, healthcare. There you go. Because when you do one, you're going to have to do the other. And that's what they got us on. They're trough feeding us. Fast food. Drive on the road today, and I guarantee you 50% of the cars you pass are eating food in the car. Everybody's going fast, fast, fast around food. And now we've created breakfast, lunch, and dinner not only as eating a lot of food, but as social events. Right? My next book is going to be called Food, Our Emotional Buffet. Because ultimately, how many people agree with this? How many people in here are emotional eaters? Anybody? Because I got news for you. If you didn't raise your hand, you are an emotional eater. Most of us eat to stuff emotions down, not because we need the food. And if you understand the definition of being full, that creates the opposite definition, hunger. So if they get you to eat something big for breakfast, they're going to get you to eat lunch and dinner because now you're going to be hungry again. I know for a fact in my personal life, if I don't touch anything for breakfast, I'm not hungry all day. Nor do I even think about food all day. But the opposite happens. If I have anything for breakfast, any bulk things for breakfast, I'm now hungry all day long. So again, everybody take a deep breath. Food is our biggest addictive habit in the world. Number one, food. Okay, so we're overeating. We're eating 3 times a day. We're eating for social reasons. As a matter of fact, 2 human beings don't even want to be in front of each other anymore unless there's food there. Right? When you just meet somebody, what's the first thing you do when you meet somebody? Let's go out to eat. Let's go out to dinner. Let's go out to lunch. Let's go eat. Let's go eat. And it becomes an emotional blanket. Because if I'm not comfortable with what you're saying, I can just start eating, right? Oh, you lost your job? Economy got you down? That's too bad. Right? I can just kind of ignore what it is you're saying and just start eating stuff down my emotions. And ultimately, that's what food is doing. It's not allowing us to feel anymore. Now, when we say the words breakfast is important, that means a green drink, a shot of wheatgrass. That's breakfast. Breakfast does not mean bulk food. Bulk food, because what's the definition of breakfast? Breaking a fast, correct?